Dear Venerable Brothers, Dhamma friends, we are going to start the fifth Dhamma sermon of the retreat number 345, and may you give your consent by saying Sadhu Sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Attikāyo tivā panassa sati paccupattitāh hoti yāvadeva ñānamattháya patissati matthāya anissito ca viharati naca kinci loke upadiyati. Dear Venerable Brothers, Dhamma friends, so we were discussing about overcoming unwholesome thoughts on yesterday. So basically we understood that we need to first understand the wholesome thoughts as well as the unwholesome thoughts and the danger of thinking unwholesome thoughts, and then we are promoting the thoughts of wholesome side, and later Buddha advised us to even now calm down wholesome thoughts so that mind become more relaxed, mind become more quiet, mind become more silent. Now, in order to achieve this, so fair amount of support can be taken from the Vipassana as well. That means development of wisdom as well. So that is what we are trying to do as much as possible through the Satipatthana practice, the development of mindfulness practice. So basically, even though it appears like simple at the beginning, it is going more and more deeper and deeper. Say for example, one would simply establish mindfulness while walking, even using a labeling technique like left, right, or rising, lifting, moving. So these are simple techniques, tools, just to establish mindfulness. Because if the mind is completely distracted, scattered, we can't do this exercise properly. So first of all, therefore, we need to somewhat calm down the mind, relax the mind, establish the mindfulness. So we are using some kind of a mechanism to do that. Using some simpler techniques, still concepts. Left and right is a concept. Lifting, moving, placing is a concept. But anyway, we are using it skillfully so that the mind starts being in the present moment. Not thinking too much about the past, not thinking too much about the future, but now paying more attention to some simple bodily process. So naturally, when we are doing that, mind starts learning how to dwell in the present moment, how to be in the present moment using some bodily movement, maybe a bodily activity, bodily process. And we can use either walking, sitting. While sitting, we can recognize various bodily processes like rising and falling of the abdomen or breathing process. All these are various techniques we can use so that mind calms down, relax, and be in the present. Now, once that is done, the next state is to go towards the clear comprehension that we already discussed to some extent, where the mindfulness is available now, well established now. Now we are not yet satisfied at that level. Now Buddha invites us to penetrate the object, investigate the object, clearly comprehend the object. Say for example, in Anapanasati Sutta, so once the mindfulness is well established, Buddha encourages us to look at deeply, investigate deeply about maybe about the breath, maybe about rising and falling, or maybe about various bodily feelings, maybe about various sensations, maybe about various element characteristics, and maybe about even thoughts. So, but the important thing is now we are looking at them objectively. So they are there, and I have the capacity to step back and watch. I am not interrupting them. I am not saying this is good, this is bad. I have no judgment, but I am capable of step back and watch it, observe it, investigate it in a more balanced manner. So this is very important to have this balanced approach where we are able to maintain a little distance but not completely distracted, and yet keeping some precise attention to each and every whatever the arising movements, arising sensations, arising phenomena. So at the present moment, utterly in the present moment. So even that Buddha highlights in the Baddekaratta Sutta, Atitan nan vagameya. So don't go after the past now. Nappati kanke anagatang. Don't think too much about the future. Yadatitam pahinang tang appantancha anagatang. Whatever the past, it has gone. The future hasn't come yet. Pachuppannancha yo dhammang tata tata vipassati. So whatever the different phenomena happening, arising right now, so that you need to clearly pay attention, clearly investigate. So that's what we are now trying to do. Suppose now we are practicing Vedananupassana. So different feelings are there. Maybe pleasurable feelings, maybe painful feelings, maybe equanimous feelings. Now we know they are feelings. Previously we were considering like I am suffering, I am happy, I am boring, I feel bored. So this is how we interpret those feelings. But now we look at them objectively. There is a pleasurable feeling. There is a painful feeling. There is an ache. There is a pain. There is boredom. Maybe there is even despair. Maybe there is little sorrow. So all different either bodily or mental feelings we can look at objectively. We are not saying, okay, pleasurable feelings are good, painful feelings are bad. Rather, both are merely feelings. So we have to have that proper attitude, correct attitude, so that we are looking at them as it is, keeping them on their right perspective. So as we are doing like that, so we are able to maintain a balanced approach, and we allow them to behave as the way they want, and we are not interrupting, interfering at all. And as a result of that, now we are understanding their characteristic. So samudaya dhammanupassiva vedanasu viharati, vaya dhammanupassiva vedanasu viharati, samudaya vaya dhammanupassiva vedanasu viharati. So Buddha further explains, okay, you are recognizing their arising nature, appearing nature of the various feelings. But once they appear, they don't stay longer. If we are not supporting, if we are not encouraging, so they have their intrinsic characteristic to pass away. That is something inherent to them. It is not that we make them impermanent, rather they are naturally impermanent. So we are observing their nature, true nature. So the impermanence is a natural characteristic in a way, inherent characteristic. And again, it's a universal characteristic. It is not unique to feelings. That impermanence is available even into the physical phenomena, physical processes. So when we call elements, so they are not really matter in the sense some physical matter as such, but they are also changing processes. Hardness is a changing process. Softness is a changing process. Say lightness, heaviness, all that appear and then disappear. Then thoughts also like that. Now if we are looking at thoughts in the Chittanupassana, so we simply allow thoughts to appear and we step back, we watch, and they come and they change and they go. So we become naturally somewhat relaxed now. So previously we were thinking they are mine, they are permanent, I have to be responsible on all this. So I am being compelled to react because I consider them as permanent. I consider them as quite important, quite valuable, because I am subjectively experiencing them. But now I am capable of looking at them in the proper perspective, and they are there, they are coming, they are changing, they are going. Maybe physical phenomena, maybe feelings, maybe mental phenomena. They all show the same kind of characteristics. They are impermanent. Samudaya dhammanupassi, vaya dhammanupassi, samudaya vaya dhammanupassi. So this is a kind of a insight that we are now developing through observation. So first we establish mindfulness. Mindfulness is available, utterly present, and mind is well concentrated, that we already developed as our skill. Yesterday we discussed. Other than the mindfulness, now the one-pointedness of the mind is available. So we can precisely keep our attention on various phenomena as they are arising. So we are not late, we are there on time. And now we can even observe their true nature. So this investigation is utterly important. Because sometimes what happens is people, when they are practicing maybe samatha, so they may experience certain blissful type of feelings, and sometimes they expect that every time, and that becomes their goal of practice. And even a samadhi can be experienced, and mind get used to a type of samadhi, and easily now you sit, and after some time easily may get into that track, get into that samadhi. So it becomes your, in a way, the objective of practice. How quickly I can get into that samadhi. It's blissful, but not contributing much to the wisdom. That's the drawback. So therefore, this investigation, on the other hand, it's not easy, by the way. So therefore, we have to purposely train the mind to investigate. Appear like some tiresome process. That's why sometimes Vipassana is mentioned as kind of a dukkha patipada, in the sense kind of a suffering is there, because still we are learning. Sometimes we can't properly keep our attention precisely onto different phenomena. So we miss the phenomena, sometimes we are too late, and sometimes we can't precisely aim to the phenomena, so we miss them. So different issues are there, but we are learning, we are training. As one yogi has mentioned even during the Q&A session, so once we are properly streamline our practice, so then we feel happy. Because now different phenomena are rising, and we are quickly paying attention precisely onto that phenomena, and they are changing, their behavior is there, but we can properly observe. Without much friction, now we don't need to struggle, and the kind of balance is also there. So mind has learned how to do that, the trained mind now. So as a result of this training, now I don't need to intervene in the process. Now the mind itself doing this whole investigation. This investigation part is very, very important. That is what contributing to the knowledge as they truly are. What we call typically as yathabhuta jnana dassana. Knowing things as they truly are. So without putting our conditioning, without putting our ideas onto them, we simply have the mindfulness, we simply have the concentration, well-balanced effort. I am just watching with an unbiased, unattached, undistracted kind of mind. So then they will show their true nature. So I am learning, I am recognizing, I am understanding their true nature. So interesting point of this is that this knowledge, yathabhuta jnana dassana, seeing things as they truly are, the importance or the value of this knowledge is that it leads to dispassion. It leads to disenchantment. Now this is not kind of a worldly knowledge that we are trying to gather and say, I am the one who is knowledgeable, I have this degree, I have that degree. So we are trying to claim that knowledge. Rather here a knowledge is being developed in the mind, and that knowledge is responsible to give up things, not to attach with things. Yathabhuta jnana dasanam nibbidattang viragattang. So whatever the proper understanding, when we know exactly what is really going on, so that knowledge helps us to have kind of a disenchantment about them, dispassion about them. So the mind further become relaxed, further become disenchanted, dispassionate about them. So I am not interrupting them, and I am not even now interested of them. Now they are changing, they are going on their own, but I am somewhat separated, I am somewhat secluded. So this seclusion is something that the yogi often experience. Unlike before, now you don't need to interrupt. You don't need to even show off. So you may experience that behavioral change in you as you continue Vipassana. So previously say, I want to show off, I want to highlight myself, I want to become someone, somebody, very important person. But now you step back and watch what's happening. I don't want to interfere. I don't want to highlight myself. So things are happening, they have their own causes, reasons. So I don't need to burn my hand. I mind my own business. So basically, this kind of an attitude definitely has to happen as a result of the practice. So this itself is actually reduce your burden. This itself actually reduce your suffering. Because sometimes most of the problems, majority of the problem what we have are because of our ignorance. So we invite problems. We interrupt others' affairs and we start suffering. So we interrupt others' affairs. I mean, it's not my business, but I interrupt their business. So then as a result of that, I have to worry, I have to think, I have to go through some suffering. But now you mind your own business. You don't want to interrupt. That doesn't mean you become utterly selfish, indifference. You even being sympathetic or you even being empathetic, but knowing limits. I mean, these things actually, as we are learning, so we understand, okay, I have limits. My own limits are there. I can help, but there's a limit also. And some other forces are also operating. Maybe karma, maybe his karma, maybe the climatic issues, which I don't have any control at all. So I don't need to worry. Now, say for example, in these few days, every day raining. So how are we going to stop it? So we accept it. And I'm able to be with it, handle it. So you are being more patient. You accept the situation. You understand, okay, different causes and conditions are there. So that is the nature. So you become more and more mature in that sense. Less complaints. Less interruptions, less preferences in a way. But you are able to bear things, you are able to cope up with things, you can handle things. So those kind of qualities on the other hand further develops, so that becomes kind of a maturity in ourselves. And that further calms down the mind on the other hand. Previously we were burning with many things, even with someone else's affairs. But now you have your only affairs, and only if someone is asked your help, okay, I am ready to help. Otherwise, I can just be quiet. So likewise, now the practice is turning to a different direction, where you are more and more silent in that sense. Only if necessary you are activated or participated. Otherwise, you know how to be secluded. Being alone but not feeling lonely. Something like that. So you prefer even loneliness in the sense, but you not feeling lonely. So sometimes people don't want to be alone because they feel loneliness. So they are asked someone else to come and pacify them, come and, be with me. I am alone. So don't make me isolated. I feel lonely. So they have an inner cry asking someone else's companionship. But now you may even prefer being alone. So don't interrupt me. I like to be alone. That's also not a kind of a refusal of others, association, that you can't, deal with others. That's not the point we are highlighting here. You can be with others, but still you being alone. Say there is a gathering here, but once you close your eyes, you may feel you are like in a sunyagara. You are like in an empty place. Because internally you are calm, relaxed, no much bother about others' affairs. You are secluded. You feel that seclusion. It's a positive quality. Sometimes we think, okay, loneliness, being alone or feeling lonely, it's a kind of a negative quality. True, when you are in that angle, you are in that attitude. But with the Vipassana practice, so you being alone, you consider it as a blessing. Because you feel strong. Even though you are alone, you feel strong, but on the other hand is you are well connected. That's another very beautiful side actually, because we on the other hand say, as a worldling, as a typical uninstructed person, when someone else leave him, he being alone, so he feel isolated. I am being, left. So no one is there to look after me. I am being alone. So you feel depressed. You have no connection at all. Even though various devices are with you, phone is with you, telephone is with you, say television is with you, email with you, internet with you, so many different things are there if you want to get connected with the world, but still you feel lonely. So that's a different scenario. But here on the other hand, even they are there, you don't want to deal with them. You don't want to connect with others. And you're not feeling lonely either, and you feel quite confident and still well connected with the whole thing. You're being part of the whole environment. It's not that you're being alienated to the environment, rather you are part of the environment. So this kind of a complete mental change, attitude change may happen as we practice thoroughly into the Vipassana. So actually I can remember one situation where Professor Richard Davidson, when he is inquiring about how these monks and whoever the practitioners who are completely, staying far away places, somewhat isolated places, and only maybe connecting to the society for their food, but quite happy, dealing quite happily, not feeling lonely, not kind of torturing or something, but every time with a smile, happily they are living. What's the reason? That's why they started doing some scientific research onto the mental side, the mindfulness side. So how these people are happy? Probably you have heard that Venerable Matthew Richard, one Tibetan monk. So they have scientifically found he is the happiest person in the world. So he's a monk. So no, there is no family, there is no any other, typical luxurious things, but he's the happiest person. So it shows us a different dimension to our life. So in the Vipassana practice, now you are sort of attuned to that side. You feel confident, I like to be alone, but still I am happy and I feel connected also. Not left over, but I feel connected also. You being a part of the environment and you being blissed in a way. Now as we are continuing, so Buddha further highlights, now what is the perspective that he is looking at the body further, looking at the feelings further, looking at various thoughts further. So Buddha say with respect to the body, so he know now there is a body. This is not me, it's not me by the way, it's not myself by the way, it doesn't belong to me by the way, it is just a body. That is one level of understanding. Attikayotiva panassa satipacchupattita hoti. Now the mindfulness is established, the understanding established, recognizing, okay, there is a body. He is now looking at the body objectively, not as me, myself, or my body, rather it is mere body. Later, maybe even he understand, okay, there are maybe various bodily phenomena, bodily processes are there, elements are there, so he go deeper into details. But the thing is, he is looking at them objectively. Okay, there are, say, bodily processes, there is just the body, or there are mere elements. And he is using this body further to enhance his understanding. Attikayotiva panassa satipacchupattita hoti yavadeva jnanamattaya patissati mattaya. To further establish mindfulness, to further enhance his mindfulness, to further develop his understanding, and now anissitocha viherati nachakinchi loke upaditi. Now he is capable of living independently, keeping the mind independent, not dependent on anything, not attached with anything in the world, completely freed. Now it appears like easy, but not that easy, because we might get attached with feelings. We might get attached with thoughts. We might get attached with various perceptions. So that's why we may have to practice some amount of Vipassana further into Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, Dhammanupassana, because even though we understand the body as different from me, myself, there is no person there, but still sometimes we might get deluded to various, feelings. So Vedananupassana helps us to understand their true nature, the true nature of feelings. So feelings are also impermanent. They also can't give me permanent satisfaction. So they also subject to come and go. So how can I expect feeling to satisfy me? And now maybe thoughts. So previously I was encouraging wholesome thoughts, but I can't continuously think wholesome thoughts. So if I am totally dependent on wholesome thoughts, that's also kind of a burden. So Buddha asks us to look at them also objectively. So in case unwholesome, that's also objectively. Sado sanchittan tipajanati. If it is thoughts of ill will, okay, it is a thought of ill will. So you step back, it is not my ill will, but it is a thought of ill will. Vitadosan chittan tipajanati. Okay, there is maybe a loving kindness thought. It is not my loving kindness, rather it is a loving kindness thought. It is now has come. Okay, let it go. I don't need to practice metta meditation now. Rather, I know it has come. The loving kindness thought has come. I step back, I watch it. Now it is going, it is fading away. So I can watch it. I am still very steady. I don't want it. I don't want to encourage now metta, because I am more steady now. So your stand is entirely a different stand now. You don't want to depend on the unwholesome, and you don't want to even depend on the wholesome. Both you understand as conditioned phenomena. So conditioned phenomena are fairly changing. They are subject to change, subject to impermanence. And as a result of that, I can't expect satisfaction. And when they are impermanent, transient, I can't expect a soul there. I can't expect a self there, permanence there. So these are certain insights now further and further growing in oneself. So basically, Buddha highlights certain, not little, vast amount of benefits in practicing aniccanupassana. So he basically mentioned, Anicca sanya bhikkave bhavita bahuli kata sabbang kamaragam pariyadiyati sabbang ruparagam pariyadiyati sabbang bhavaragam pariyadiyati sabbang avijjam pariyadiyati sabbang asmimanam pariyadiyati samuhanti. So somebody asked how to overcome asmimana. So if you are practicing aniccanupassana, so seeing things, how quickly they are coming and going, how quickly they are changing, how transient they are, so slowly you may understand, how can I have a self there? How can I have a self here either? So there the impossibility to have a person, an individual, a self become more and more evident. So asmimana, the conceit I am, that comparison, that measuring, become sort of irrelevant. You don't feel like doing it because you can understand, okay, can't have a person here and can't have a person there also. So this is actually another deeper advice that Buddha is telling. Now, suppose that now we have developed to some extent Vipassana using the Satipatthana, and now we are able to keep our mind unattached. So time to time, okay, mind feel relaxed, mind feel released, not holding on to anything, not attached to anything, not grasping anything. And when mind not grasping anything, that you may feel the lightness of the mind. Because when mind holds something, it is heavy. When mind attaches something, it is heavy. It is holding something, it is attached to something. You feel heaviness, you feel burdened, you feel some gross, conditioned nature you may feel. So that is exactly what Buddha asks us to, reflect when mind get attached. So when it is not attached, it is relaxed, it is very calm, very simple. Not conditioned, not colored, not burdened, but relaxed. Very simple. So this simplicity, now you start appreciating. Typically we can't. So the belief is thinking that if something is really complex, difficult to understand, so it should be really profound. But the opposite is now something you start appreciating. Now the mind is very simple, very relaxed, very calm, but still very deep. So there's a very beautiful simile actually Buddha mentioned about this nature of the mind, and he says to look at the ocean. And the ocean begins with the beach. The beach, so when you are there, okay, maybe seashells are there, these little children are there, so foreigners are there. So a lot of, this lot of noise is there. And on top of that, the waves come and hit the stones and a lot of noise there. And then you go a little deeper. Still waves are there. Now you are little immersed in water, but less noise because you are away from the beach. So the humans are not there. Now you are in the sea and you are immersed in water. And to some extent, you are free from noise. And now you go further deeper, and you arrive the mid of the ocean. So what is the nature of the mid of the ocean, the center of the ocean? So it's completely silent, no waves, no, any noise, but extremely deep. So this is the nature, he say, the Arahant's mind. Extremely deep, completely silent, completely still. So this is the direction that we need to aim at. So if our mind is noisy, if our mind has too much thinking, proliferation, quite noisy, so then we are far away from Nibbana. But on the other hand, if our mind is calm, relaxed, simple, but with profound understanding, maybe we are getting closer to Nibbana. So it is not that simply you are fixing your mind onto a particular object and then keep the mind relaxed, quiet. That is also there. That is we discussed yesterday through the samatha practice. You may attain jhana. You can keep one pointed. You are using a particular object and you are absorbed to that. No wavering. Still. That is also possible. That also blissful. But still you are holding something. You can't hold forever. So once you are emerged from that, again mind become vulnerable. But here Buddha gives a different opinion, where it's naturally empty, naturally still, you don't need to do anything at all. So effortless. Previously we are fully holding something and then we are maintaining stillness in the samatha. But in Vipassana, so mind has nothing to hold, and as a result of that, mind becomes still. A complete difference is there. Now, so further and further, as we are moving forward, therefore Buddha highlights, in case, again mind go and grasp. Now say for example, in the Indriya Bhavana Sutta, Buddha highlights, Katancha Ananda Ariyassa Vinaye Anuttara Indriya Bhavana Hoti. What is Ananda? This sublime kind of meditation with respect to the faculties in this noble sasana, in this noble dispensation. Idananda bhikkhuno chakkuna rupan disva uppajjati manapang, uppajjati amanapang, uppajjati manapa manapang. So he is simply dealing with the society, he is maybe walking on the road, he has seen something beautiful. So as a result of our past habit, again mind become elated. Mind become excited of what it has seen. So what is the practice now? Now Buddha say, Tanchako sankatang oladikang parisamuppannang. So now you need to practice actually. So rather than allowing the mind to feel excited, being elated, now you see, okay, this is again conditioned, sankatang. Again the mind has grasped something. What is grasped? That is impermanent something has grasped by the way. It is something conditioned. Olarikang, it is gross. Patisamuppannang, it is conditionally or dependently arisen. So you know, even if you look back, you can step back and see how the process has happened. There is I, there is a form, then the knowing part, cognition part happened, then the chakku vijnana, then the contact is there, again and again this process has repeated. So the feeling has arisen, so you want to know the feeling, recognize the feeling, and you may be thinking about it. Now emotionally you are being uplifted to change to a, shifted to some state, mental state. This is how this excitement has happened, emotion has happened. So you can see the constructed nature, you can see the dependently arisen nature. So you are more clever now, skillful now, even to look at that. So Buddha invites us to see it. So when the mind is excited, don't be in the excited state, rather look at that excited state either as a condition, sankatang, either as olarikang, that is the gross. Why it is gross? Because you were in a very simple state, very relaxed state, unexcited state. You are in a like water. Water is not colorful, water is not tasty, water is not sweet, water is not bitter, water is water. So the mind was like water, but now it is excited because it has seen something, again it has went through some habitual tendency, and now again it has excited, but you don't encourage this excited state. Rather, Buddha invites us to look at it as conditioned, gross, dependently arisen, and promotes the reverse process, return back to the previous simplicity. Etan santang, etam panitang, yaddang upekha. You were in a very sublime, very relaxed, equanimous, peaceful state. So encourage that. Return back. So this is a practice in a way. So you have achieved emptiness, you have achieved disenchantment, you have achieved kind of detached experience, non-grasping experience, maybe while walking, maybe while sitting. But now you started walking somewhere and you have seen something, and again mind become excited, mind become really happy, elated, but now there's a practice to do, return back to the equanimity. How quickly? Blink of an eye. So you can see as the teacher how Buddha encourages us in a way, giving certain references. You can't stay there, enjoying that for some extent, and we can enjoy certainly, but with the expense of the mind's peacefulness. So if there is a natural tendency to prefer that peacefulness, that calmness, that relaxed mood, then you don't even feel like getting excited. That's why, these things won't happen in a day. So that's why in the Ogatarana Sutta also Buddha explained you can't swim in 90 degrees. You have to go in a diagonal way, because you have to sometimes give some sweet, because every day just pure water not good. Maybe have a milk, maybe a coffee. If too much sugar, then probably you have to have some kohomba or something. But water is the best thing. No color, no taste, but good for the body. So likewise, so encouraging the mind to dwell in that emptiness, to dwell in that calmness, to dwell in that peacefulness as much as possible, but difficult. That is difficult actually. That's why actually, Buddha actually recognized that. Buddha even mentioned that particularly. So this state, this calm state, peaceful state, is not something we may naturally appreciate. You may feel like bored while being there. You feel like lethargic while being there. You feel like waste of time while being there. That's why all the questions we ask, what next? What next to do? Is it the correct path? Am I in the correct track? Because there's a natural tendency for us to do something. So we are more addicted to doing than being. As someone has mentioned, so we are human doing, not human being. So now we are trying to be a human being. Difficult actually. So Buddha mentioned, can't remember exactly that. There's a very beautiful verse there. Buddha mentioned that beautifully. How to dwell in that place which mind can't feel like beautiful, mind can't feel like uplifted. Opposite mind would say it is boring, but still encouraging to be there. The interesting part is the practice. If you are again and again doing the Vipassana part, again and again do the investigation, as a result of the practice, always that is the result. Result is the relaxation. Result is the giving up. Result is the relinquishment. Result is a detachment. So mind again and again come there. So you also have sometimes question, I am practicing, but mind comes there. Mind become relaxed. Mind become peaceful. Nothing is there, by the way. Once I arrive there, nothing is there. Not even me is there. Not even I is there. I don't feel like I am living. I don't feel like I am excited. There is no anger, there is no lust, there is no any excitement. So I don't feel like I am living. I am just being there. So sometimes very difficult to even encourage to do that. But anyway, when someone is faithful, he practices it. So he is now trying to be there for 10 minutes, trying to be there for 15 minutes, trying to be there for 20 minutes, trying to be there for 30 minutes, trying to be there for 45 minutes. So naturally, this kind of expansion helps its mind to recognize it. So the mind recognizes it now. Mind become kind of familiar to that place, and no friction there, no defilements there, no burning there, no agitation there, and no even I there. A kind of a very interesting, right? And you also not there. So once you somewhat familiar with that, then Buddha further encourage, okay, Bahir, you got to further restrain yourself. Ditte dittamattam bhavissati, sute sutamattam bhavissati, mute mutamattam bhavissati, viññāte viññātamattam bhavissati. Okay, Bahir. So once you see things, just limit it to mere seeing. Once you hear things, just limit it to mere hearing. Once you smell, taste, or what else? Sense through your body, just limit it to mere sensation. Don't go beyond that. And even when an idea comes, even when a thought comes, just limit it to that. So that is your restraint. That's a practice again. Exactly very much the same thing Buddha highlighted in the Indriya Bhavana Sutta. So again and again returning to that emptiness, again and again returning to that unattached, non-grasping state of mind. So either way, either we are discussing the Indriya Bhavana Sutta, either we are discussing Bahya Sutta, either we are discussing Satipatthana Sutta, the result is the same. Same thing Buddha highlighted. Now, so actually, let me come from a different angle now. So remember, you can remember God Sakka. We met him a couple of days ago. So when Godsak arrived the Buddha, so he asked series of questions. So why all these conflicts are there? Why all the quarrels, struggles are there? Then Buddha say, okay, that is because of the Isamacharya, jealousy and miserliness. Then further he asked, why Bante avarice or this Isamacharya, the jealousy and the miserliness happen? Then he say, okay, we have categorized like and dislike. Then how it has happened, that is because of the chanda. How it has happened, that is because of thinking. And how thinking has happened, that is because of papancha sanya sankha. So we have a lot of concepts. So we have a lot of man-made items. Many concepts are there, many languages are there, many human-made products are there. So all promotes thinking, all triggers the mind to think. So now Sakka asked a very important question. Bante, how are we going to relax the mind now? How are we going to overcome all this? What's the solution? Now Buddha gave a different approach here. He say, with respect to feelings, actually he is giving the answer. With respect to feelings, God Sakka, this certain feelings are there which actually promotes wholesomeness. And certain feelings are there which actually promotes unwholesomeness. And assume that it is a pleasurable feeling. And if it is, even though it's a pleasurable feeling, probably it is agitating the mind. You are enjoying it with the expense of agitation of the mind. Say, for example, you are enjoying a movie. A lot of excitement may be there. A lot of fights are there, this and that are there. A lot of excitement is there. But you are quite happy. You like to look at it. But the end of the thing, you feel maybe confused. You may feel excited. You may feel lustful. You become still angry. Even after watching the movie, as you are moving, but you feel like you are at some other place, you are feeling alienated to the present moment because you are completely deluded in that. So the unwholesomeness has fairly developed. But on the other hand, say you are practicing meditation and you are able to come to some calmness of the mind. Maybe some samadhi is there, very blissful. And you feel uplifted, quite happy, joyful. But there is no excitement as such. There is no agitation as such. You feel kind of sublime type of happiness. So which one are you going to select then? So Buddha encourages to select the second one. Okay, there is a pleasurable feeling, there are certain, pleasant feelings, but it doesn't encourage any agitation in the mind, doesn't encourage any unwholesome roots in the mind, but instead it is helping the mind to calm down, relax, but still it is happy. So therefore, with respect to pleasurable feelings, Buddha says, you got to select these pleasurable feelings which are developing the wholesomeness of the mind, not the unwholesomeness of the mind. So whenever you are going through some pleasurable feeling, now you got to discard the feelings which are producing agitation, excitement or unwholesome qualities of the mind. But if there is a pleasurable feeling which when you are associating it, it is producing calmness, peacefulness, but still happiness in the mind, you can pursue it. You can continue it. And same thing is valid for painful feelings. There may be painful feelings, and while you are continuing that painful feeling, and you feel maybe really depressed, sorrow, you are maybe start crying, but there may be another kind of a painful feeling. You feel little not excited or not happy, but you are able to bear it maybe thinking about the future benefits. Maybe it's a kind of an encouragement for you to continue. So one example actually we can discuss, say for example while meditation, so you are engaged with meditation and you feel some bodily pain. Its feeling is not that encouraging. It's a pain, by the way. But if you are bearing it for some time, it may have some results, it may have some benefits. On the other hand, say for example, you have a wish that I want to become a Sotapanna, but not yet. So you have a little sorrow. I mean, Bhante is telling this, Bhante is telling that, this book telling this book telling that. But I am completely alienated to this. I haven't even have a clue about it. You feel unhappy about it. So when am I going to have this? When am I going to enjoy all this? So it's a kind of a little, worry being developed. Sometimes it's called in the Dhamma as Nekkammasita Domanassa. Nekkammasita Domanassa means that there's a renunciative kind of unhappiness. Because you expect some sort of attainment, understanding, but it's not yet available. By the way, this little worry is something encouraging you to continue. So therefore it is not something to abandon, but you can keep it, because that is what encouraging you to continue the practice. Because not yet I am there, but anyway I am continuing. I have to arrive there. Definitely it should be there. That's why Buddha has mentioned in this many suttas. That's why it is so highlighted. That's why people are trying hard. Should be there, even though I am not yet capable of experiencing it. Currently I am going through some sort of unhappiness because I don't have it. I have a wish to experience it, but still I don't have it. So this kind of unhappiness, therefore Buddha say, okay, you can even encourage that. You can associate that. You can keep going with that. It's a kind of a certain encouragement. So sometimes people say, tanhang nissaya tanha pahatabbu. So you have kind of a desire to attain something. Maybe to experience jhana, to experience magga phala. But nothing is available now yet. But still a desire is there. That is the motivation factor. Because we need some kind of a motivation. We need some kind of a determination. And immediately we can't have everything. So this is in a way a kind of a unhappiness. But this kind of an unhappiness, rather than promoting defilements, it helps to overcome defilements. I can't arrive there because still I have defilements. So you are becoming more and more realistic. I couldn't arrive there because still defilements are there. A lot of hindrances are there. I have to overcome hindrances. I have to develop the wholesome qualities. I have to develop the faculties instead of the hindrances. Now you are more clear about it. So likewise, when we consider the unhappy feelings, there are also certain unhappy feelings we can abandon because it promotes unwholesomeness of the mind, but certain unhappiness we can promote because it encourages me to further practice. And similarly, Buddha mentioned about the equanimous feelings. There may be equanimous feelings, those may promote wholesome feelings, wholesome qualities, and there may be equanimous feelings which are not promoting any wholesome qualities. Instead, it may promote unwholesome qualities. So those equanimous feelings which are promoting unwholesome qualities we need to abandon, but we can continue the equanimous feeling which are wholesome. Now, when we are doing that, now Buddha comes to a very important point. You may be experiencing certain happiness with thinking, and again it is wholesome, and you may be experiencing certain happiness without thinking, that is also wholesome. So which one are you giving more prominence? So happiness is there with thinking and without thinking, but both are wholesome. Which one are you preferring? With thinking or without thinking? Without thinking. So Buddha say it is more panitang, more sublime, where happiness, certain happiness is there, but no thinking. Similarly, domanassa, certain little unhappiness is there with thinking, little unhappiness is there without thinking, but both are promoting wholesomeness. Which one you prefer now? Little unhappiness without thinking, but which promotes wholesomeness. So Buddha give now preference to calming down thinking. And same thing he said about the equanimous feelings also. Equanimous feelings are there with thinking and without thinking, but both are promoting wholesomeness. Now you need to drop the thinking side. Instead, you need to select the not thinking side. So the mind become more relaxed, more calm, more quiet. So slowly we are arriving non-proliferation, nippapancha. So now a kind of a preference is now developing in one's mind for nippapancha. It's very unlikely that without the hearing of Buddha's teaching, without his encouragement, we ourselves would develop it. He has done that because he is the Samma Sambuddha. But we, typical human beings, so we need some guidance, we need some encouragement, we need some, path coming from the Buddha's teaching. Otherwise, very difficult to even promote this kind of, practice even. Because the I, myself, the sense of I, the ego is not there. So typically we are happy when ego is present. I am happy when I am being praised. I am as an individual, I am as a special person, and you are praising me, then I am happy. But in the practice, at this level, you may not feel the presence of I, but still happy. Calm, relaxed, peaceful. So the encouragement has to come from the faith, coming from the Buddha, coming from the Dhamma, coming from the Sangha. So that's why, therefore, actually the faith is playing a pivotal role. And at the beginning, you might not experience much other than the boredom. But the encouragement is there to continue it. Okay, spend a few more minutes there. Still boring. Just continue a few more minutes there. 10 minutes. Still boring. But with the mind maturing, as we continue, mind slowly develops its maturity, its wisdom. Then it will understand the taste. So previously we become happy by exciting the mind and creating a self. Now we are developing a path, unexciting the mind, instead keeping the mind more relaxed and not feeling a sense of I, not having a self. Completely different path. So the second path, the new path, is to be encouraged, is to be developed, make it abundant, make it more familiar and readily available as a result of the practice. So that's why we need, in a way, the practice. Even though we have a lot of theories, even though we have a lot of information, so without the practice, without the experience, none of these things can be achieved. By mere listening, by mere, superficial understanding, nothing of these things could be achieved. That's why the practice is utterly important. Through the practice, only the mind would convince, not by the liberation or the deliverance of the mind can happen even when we are listening to Dhamma, even when we are preaching Dhamma, we are reciting the Dhamma, discussing Dhamma, or even in the meditation. But once the mind is released, freed, that freedom has to be encouraged, practiced, it has to be lived with, it has to be familiar with. So that's why the viharati term is there. So you are viharati. So you are dwelling there, you are being there for a long time, not just 1 minute, 2 minutes, maybe as much as possible. So you may start with maybe a sitting practice. Okay, I can arrive there in my sitting practice. I can spend there for 30 minutes. Good. How about walking then? So can you arrive there while walking? Okay, I am doing my walking practice. Now I can arrive there even in my walking practice. Good. Okay, how about when you are simply engaged with some activity? Are you completely driven by the activity? Are you completely distracted by the activity? Are you getting agitated by the activity? Or even while you are engaged with the activity, you can simply keep the mind relaxed. You can simply keep the mind at this peaceful state. So this is how we need to practice. Even we discussed this some extent during the Dhamma discussion. So this is why Buddha encouraged that as a, in a daily activity level, in the Mahasunyata Sutta, giving us various scenarios, while standing, while walking, while sitting, while lying down, while talking, while even thinking. So what am I thinking? So likewise, I need to now further scrutinize the whole thing to encourage this emptiness. So then we can go further, and we'll discuss a few more things tomorrow. And with that, I'll conclude today's Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much for attentive listening.